Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I will call the Budget, Finance, and Investment Committee to order, and we need to approve minutes.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Jernigan.
Second.
And seconded by Commissioner Jordan. Any additions or corrections? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That motion carries. We have the investment report tonight, and that will be given to us from Julie Bratcher from the trustee's office, and you should have that at your table.
The second sheet shows that we've just had one bid on a CD this past month. I was going to tell you that the rates have dropped so much that a year ago this time that CD brought 1.65%, and now it brought 40 this time. And then the last sheet I think was something somebody had requested at the last meeting, the summary of our collections. At the end of February, it shows that our 2010 collections were down compared to last year at the end of February. But as of yesterday, our March collections are more than the previous whole month. So we are a little bit ahead.
Move to report.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Sexton. Any discussions or questions for Mrs. Bratcher? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Hey, if you will locate your fund condition report, our finance director will begin with the development tax report.
Okay. End of February, we collected $54,000. That brings our year-to-date total to $570,000.
Okay, moving on, please, to cash balances.
Cash balance at the end of February, $195,824,000, with $192,272,000 being operating funds and $3,552,000 being borrowed funds. On this report, if you look at the total of Fund 189, which is where we've got our excess for our schools, we've got $2.1 million for the school capital projects. Just to remind you that you've set aside $1.3 million of that for the Stewart's Creek High School, and then the schools will be bringing forth tonight a request for the funding for the Eagleville, primarily coming from the leftovers from from the Buchanan Middle and Oakland Middle School.
On those projects that you've got that total there, are those completed, or how close are we on completion on all of those?
We don't have a full year yet, and that's typically what the school board looks at, is a year after the school opens, so that they can make any payments for technology that's still outstanding. So I would turn to Jeff to say how much is going to be available.
The purchase orders for the ball fields have just been issued. Got some minor other things like that, but most of it, there will still be some money for library books, technology coming through, perhaps some odds and ends for furniture.
Do you have any kind of estimate on how much? Are we talking 100,000 or less or more, or what's the ballpark?
I would say over 100, because the technology budget is the one piece that we tend to, it will be coming in this spring more as they expect.
So we're looking at 2 million instead of 2.1, or?
Right, and then you would be able to spend the energy project money
Right.
for that. So really what you have available that we're using is what's sitting in the new elementary school project, where we've just kind of pulled some money.
Okay.
So they're going to leave enough money in those 2 middle schools to finish him up, even after we maybe jumping ahead,
Yeah.
pull that out to do the fund, the
If I may,
design for Eagleville.
Sorry, Commissioner. I have an amendment that I will take to the April board meeting, going ahead and making those moves. I just wasn't able to get it for our last board meeting. There were still some things outstanding.
Thank you.
Is that gonna be neat and clean, because a third of that money is shared money, and the Eagleville money is not gonna be shared money? You've got sixth grade at the middle schools, and you don't in the high school at Eagle. But I guess you've got all that figured out, but I mean, it just.
That will be
Yeah.
contemplated when
Mhm.
they move all the money.
We want to make sure everything's still in two middle schools before we move out.
I agree. And the school board usually knows about when they're done. I mean, they know when they're done issuing purchase orders. We may not have paid everything, but they'll know what is available to move out.
And is this accurate on 189 also in the energy project? This is the light switch here,
This is
because our
the light
lighting
switch.
is complete, right? We're through on the lighting project. This is the light switch,
The
the motion
switching.
detector
Yeah,
sensors.
yeah,
We're through, we're in process, or we're processing the final billing and stuff now, and it's kind of a mixed bag because we're having to depend on the state to get their funds to us and that kind of stuff.
But this is on the switching project, which is a second lighting project, because the other one was 3 years
The
ago.
lighting, yeah.
The lighting
That
project.
finished up when this
Yeah.
one went into effect, I guess.
Yeah.
And I will have a budget amendment that I will be bringing forward to help and Ed this month that will have to pass before we can get everything in line. It's mine.
Okay, so this number is correct then, the 245.
Well, 245 is how much
Yeah.
cash we have on hand
Yeah.
for the project.
So how far along is that project,
What?
as far as in completion?
The sensors,
Yes.
it's completed other than getting all the final bills paid, getting all the money in and getting the numbers.
Okay, and that's what you're talking about, it's coming, okay. All right.
Do you want to move to the revenue page?
I just give it to you. There's really nothing for me to bring out that I haven't already brought out to you. I guess the one piece, which we've already reported to you, that the sales tax for the schools are at about 5.5% higher than they were in the prior year. So that's helping that total taxes on Fund 141. Middle of your second page. And on debt service, the line to look at is total taxes were 82.61% complete as far as those revenues come in. That's real, that's a little behind the last few years. If you're looking at dollar amounts, July, February of last year to this year, you see there's a reduction. I'm just reminding you that we did move money out of the debt service fund into the general fund from the property tax.
You got 8 happy faces between both sides. No frowny faces, a
There's
couple of
one.
stars.
There's a
down
frowny
there.
face down there on the interest.
Yeah, on the interest.
Okay. Love that high-tech system we got. Yeah, there's a frowny face.
Okay, the chair will entertain a motion,
Motion to approve the report.
according to how happy you are with those happy faces.
I think it makes much difference what I feel about it, no matter what it is.
Second motion.
Okay, that was Commissioner Jersey, seconded by Commissioner Silver. Any further discussion or questions for Mrs. Noel? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, that motion carries. Okay, gentlemen, will you locate, please, your insurance report, and Mrs. Stinson will begin with the financials.
Thanks for sharing the report. We'll flip to the second page of this report. We'll start there. For the month of February, the per employee per month was $618.99. Compared to prior year, it was $635.32. The year-to-date monthly average is $655.12 compared to the prior year, $697.74. when we add in the Care Here results, the total per employee per month is $651.57 compared to $652.71. And year-to-date average is $683.35 compared to prior year of $730.22. So we continue to see a negative trend as we progress. Our net OPEB obligation is currently at $38.7 million as of the end of February. Any questions in regards to that? We'll move to Fund 266. We had 31 OJI claims in the month of February and 11 report-only claims. We had a total payment of $604,778, which reflected 86% of prior year to date. Are there any questions about that particular report?
Gentlemen, we need a motion for the financials.
So moved, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Sandlin. Seconded by Commissioner P. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Mrs. Stinson, I know you also have a budget amendment.
I do. As part of our agreement with ACE, which is our access carrier, we had a $7,500 arrangement with them to fund some safety initiatives in the county. We have received that money. We just need to put it into our budget, so I have an amendment request for that.
So moved, Madam Chairman.
Second.
Sandlin.
Wait, that's not that one, it's this one.
$62.50.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The 7,500's already there.
I apologize.
The employee appreciation.
Yes, this is the employee appreciation contribution. We had collected table fee money from the vendors. That totaled $62.55, and we need to put that particular money in the budget as well.
So moved.
And that was your second, Commissioner P. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Bond,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. Mrs. Stinson, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, Section 3, we have a budget amendment from Archives.
I'll do it.
Yeah, I don't
I'll do
see
it.
Mr. Lowe.
This is a request to increase their part-time 1,248 with the funds coming from their consultant line item, 1,348.
So moved.
Commissioner Sandlin, thank you.
Second.
Commissioner Jernigan, seconded. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Bond,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. Mrs. Boland, from Circuit Court, you have two amendments, and if you will explain those, we will take those as one vote.
Absolutely. This is part of the collections department objective. We are moving money from our office supplies into data processing equipment. Hi, Brian.
Backup has arrived.
Yes. And also moving money from, again, office supplies and maintenance agreements into office equipment. The two things that we're doing is we are purchasing switch to accommodate the phone line and cabling project that we need to actually have capacity for our office. In addition, that cabling project will allow us to actually have security cameras on our clerks' desks, the front desk area, because there's not any security cameras on those front desk areas. And then will also allow us to get 2 new copiers that will help eliminate some cost and some extra effort that we go through right now.
Move to approve.
Okay, and you realize that is for both?
Yep.
for both of those. Thank you, Commissioner Jernigan.
I'll second the
And seconded by Commissioner P. Discussion or questions for Mrs. Bowman?
The maintenance agreements are in with this number then? What?
Yes, the maintenance agreements right now we have some very old copiers, and so those maintenance agreements are very expensive. These new copiers will allow us to eliminate about $1,500 a quarter from our maintenance agreement expense. Next year, we'll actually purchase 2 new copiers, and it will achieve another savings and another $1,500 a quarter.
Is that our policy this time, buying copiers? I know we've been around the world. For a while, we rent them, for a while, we buy them, and you have maintenance agreements, and it's just a bottomless pit. Copiers
We've been
are.
buying them for
Yeah.
years.
There was
Yeah.
a resolution actually adopted not to lease them anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I remember I didn't like leasing them to start with, but copiers are a bottomless pit. I mean, they really are.
Well, this is gonna be a
Yeah.
copier, scanner, fax machine.
Mm.
We are in a bottomless
Yeah.
pit situation where
Yeah.
we make hundreds
Yeah,
and
well-
hundreds of copies.
But it's a necessity, you got
Yeah,
to do it, so.
exactly.
Any further discussion?
Are they buying their old ones? Brian, you come in to help out.
I don't want to draw attention to something that's not a problem, but $7,000 of her cost is because she unfortunately hit the capacity of a $7,000 switch at just the wrong moment with her needs, and typically we would have included those switches in the regular OIT budget as infrastructure improvements for the judicial building, but she just, to illustrate it differently, she needs about a half a dozen ports on a 48-port switch. The other remaining ports will be used for various other things that might occur throughout the building, so that's the only thing I wanted to.
And both of these are coming out of her budget, not your budget.
Correct.
So.
I'll get them next year.
It's all county money.
It's all the same.
That's right, that's right.
Any further discussion? Commissioner Schaefer,
No
we're
new
in
money,
section 3, and we'll pick you up on the next one. How about that?
Sounds great.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Commissioner Schaefer, we're ready for General Sessions Court budget amendment. And I do not see Judge McFarland, Mrs. Nolan.
Okay, one of their employees left, and they had significant overtime, comp time, so this is a budget amendment to provide funding for the overtime, with the funds coming from their postal charges, their maintenance, repair, office equipment, and library books.
Motion approved.
Second.
Commissioner Jordan, seconded by Commissioner Jernigan. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. Mr. Solandi, we're ready for your budget amendment. Good evening.
Good evening.
From the Correctional Work Center. In fact, you have 2.
Yes.
And I think, sir, that we can take those as one motion. The committee will notice that the original amendment on the second page was changed in public safety, so you might just remind us of that also.
Okay. We're requesting to move 500 out of the 340 line of medical dental services. Another 4,000 from the drug medical supplies, it's line 413. Another 2,505 from the gasoline line. It's going to be a total of 7,500. We're trying to do this to have the adequate funding for the maintenance and repair of the building and repair of equipment. We've had some repair needs in our food service area in the kitchen, and just those things kind of came off those lines, so we're just trying to make sure we have enough to last us the rest of the fiscal year.
Do you think you're gonna be okay in gasoline line item? That's
Yes, we are. We're doing really good on that line. And the other matter we're requesting is for utilities. Due to the harsh winter, we used a lot of, more than we expected to at this point of the year, but it, like they said, it was amended to 50,000. We think that should be enough to last us till June, because we're going into spring and summer, so I think that should be adequate enough to get us there.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Commissioner P., thank you. Seconded by Commissioner Schaefer. Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pet Adoption and Welfare Services. Mr. Gregory, welcome.
Thank you. What we're asking to do is to move $12,702 from our donation line item into part-time personnel, Social Security, and employer Medicare, as you see there in front of you.
Move to approve.
Commissioner Jordan,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Jordan.
Is this a new part-time?
No, this would be to put money back into.
Back into addition?
To pay for the part-timers that we have. We're trying to maintain our level there until we get to our busy season, which is about 3 or 4 weeks away, so we're probably gonna have to add a couple more. We had 63, 150 to begin with.
Okay. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Corbett, we have a budget amendment from Stormwater. Good evening.
Good evening. In our stormwater program, we use part-time personnel to accomplish a lot of the things which has to do walking streams, doing some water sampling. We're creating a GIS database that has to go with our reporting to the state. Anyway, what we want to do, we want to take 4,200 out of the line item for our engineer. We're not actually cutting his salary. This was put in there. He took the PE exam this past year and he missed it by a couple of points. Had he passed it, there's a little promotion that goes with that. What we want to do is take that and put it into our part-time line item to, so we can accomplish some of the additional things that the state gave us, plus what we do every year in walking the streams.
You come before Public Works, one in depth, explain this to the Public Works Committee, what all is going to be doing, so I'll move to approve.
I'll second this motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Jernigan, seconded by Commissioner P. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Corbett.
Thank you.
Mayor Burgess,
Okay.
you have an amendment you would like to present?
Some of the residents out on Orchard Park Drive where we had a fire out there have taken up money among themselves, $4,200, to allow a fire hydrant to be placed into service by Consolidated Utility, and we want to move the $4,200 in contributions into contracted services so we can actually get that installed.
Did that come before public safety?
I don't remember us talking about the public safety.
Oh, yeah, we did, our finance
We've
office,
actually received the money.
we've already received the money.
Why is the county even involved in that? I mean, couldn't they have just given the money straight to CUD?
I don't know about that.
That's normally how we do it out at Kittrell. That's why I was.
Out in my neighborhood, we
I
took
know
up
what-
money and a bunch of us chipped in and bought a fire.
Well,
We just gave a check to CUD.
Well, assuming CUD is a charitable organization, if they give it to the county, it's a tax deduction, so I mean,
Oh, okay.
individuals.
We'll tell them they're welcome to do it some more. They
Yeah,
pay the
that's why they
fine.
did it
Well, it
through
doesn't
us.
cost the county any money, and it's a great,
It's
good to get a fire hydrant in those positions.
I assume they've got the water and the water pressure out there
Well,
to
yes, or
support
they
it.
wouldn't have agreed that they could do it.
Move to approve.
Second.
This will pay for it completely?
That's what CUD, yes, that's their number.
Commissioner P said he was the second on that. I'm not sure. Commissioner P, right. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum,
Yes. It works out.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. Mrs. Nolan, a budget amendment from juvenile court, Judge Davenport.
This is to provide funding for the magistrate and the guardian ad litem for the rest of the year. They need $16,000.
They have an extraordinarily heavy workload, more than we projected, and this is what it is to be able to handle all the cases that are coming before them.
On balance, not anybody jumping out there too fast.
Yeah.
She did come to public safety on this one, so, you know, I heard her plea firsthand. Basically, the guy that's picking up the extra work that they've got is overloaded. He's working 2 to 3 days, and he's still not able to get all the cases in. And she gave a number of cases the other night.
Yeah.
I don't recall right offhand, so.
But it's much increased over what it's been in the last few years.
Gentlemen.
Well, we're not all excited. I'll make a motion to approve, but
Thank you. Commissioner Sandlin.
you got to get through it.
I'm not excited about it
Yeah.
either, but I will say.
Seconded by Commissioner P. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. Mrs. Nolan, transfers in, dealing with the ambulance projects, ambulance station
If you
project.
remember last month, we made a lot of change, a lot of cleanup amendments to the various projects in our capital projects fund. This recognizes the $10,331 left over from the ambulance project coming back to the general fund into the restricted for capital projects account, which is development tax.
So, second then.
Commissioner Jernigan, seconded by Commissioner Sandlin. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. Sheriff Arnold, Mr. Russell, good evening.
Good evening.
And we will start, please, with your budget amendment for the fingerprint agreement.
Every year, we get the $25,000 in from the MPD, because we fingerprint all the people that they bring in, and so we're going to recognize those funds, and then we can use those for general building maintenance. That's what we're going to put into that line item. That's our amendment for tonight.
Motion to approve.
Commissioner Schaefer, thank you.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Jordan. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. Gentlemen, and next, you have a recommendation to look at funding for the design of the jail expansion and renovation.
We don't have anything in here about it.
Well, other than potential
Yeah.
funding sources.
Yeah.
Here, on the, you want to start? Yeah.
Who's up first?
Well, over the course of, really before Sheriff Arnold was here, we had developed some preliminary design plans for renovating the jail and other parts of the sheriff's office building, and also an addition there. And we've reinitiated that discussion, and they've reiterated, and they've pretty much come to reasonable agreement that what they have there is reasonably close to what they would like to build.
This here is a small version. I've got the big version over here. Depends on whichever one you would like to see to show you.
Public safety don't want to
No.
Property management. Property management, yeah. We took the property management first and then hit it here, and then we go to public safety. So we go to public safety next week, I believe it is. Is that when the next one is?
I would have thought it would have gone through public safety
Safety
before it came
and
here.
come back through here.
We thought so too.
We usually were the last step before the, I don't mean to put you off, but usually just we're the financial end after they critique what you're doing a little more and things like that, you know.
This is the direction
Is
we're
there,
told to go.
is there a timeliness matter where it would hurt this to go do public safety and come back here next month?
You
That's
wanna do
fine.
that?
I don't want to cut you off in midstream, but I'd be more comfortable with it at this point if public safety had their endorsement, because all I've seen is a line item on a budget agenda, and the more eyes that see it before it gets here, I feel better.
Let's say more commissioners gonna get to see it before it gets to the floor, so you know.
That's fine. We were just going through what the request.
Well, public safety won't meet before next,
You know, we talked
Yeah,
about
we talked about it.
whether it should come to budget or not.
public
We can
safety
wait.
won't meet before next week's commission meeting.
No.
So it wouldn't go to next week's commission meeting anyway.
Right.
So if we see it a month from now, it would still get to the commission at the exact same time.
That's fine. We thought it needed, I mean,
Yeah.
we thought that was the next step. What they were asking for is look for funding. So, but we
I
can
would
wait.
like to hear the funding part, though. I mean, I understand what they're going for, but,
Gonna go back through public safety first, and hear it twice.
I do have a request from you all. That little sheet, not the big one. Literally, there's 7 of us
Those are
on
your-
public safety. Could you get that with
Oh,
an
yeah.
explanation in our boxes downstairs? So we
email it to you if you'd like.
That'd be good. I can handle that. Okay. That way we'll have,
Right.
a chance to look at it first, too.
Yeah, I've already scanned it in, I've got it sitting on the hard
Okay,
drive, so.
that's great.
Okay, so gentlemen,
Prepared.
we will look at this again at next month's budget meeting. Okay, would you then move on to your request to apply to the United States Department of Justice under the Solving Cold Cases with the DNA program? And we do have
Yes.
copies of that.
That was a grant that was proposed to apply for. The deadline
Was March 8th.
Last night, was the 8th, yeah.
At midnight.
And at midnight, so it has been applied for. We're under the, I guess we've been told we're supposed to make you aware we have applied for it because the county will have to sign a contract when it comes in. It is non-matching funds, and it will assist our cold case unit.
You've
What
got,
the big plus to this is, and the big seller to the Justice Department is, we are countywide collaborating together. We've got Murfreesboro, Smyrna, Laverne on board, and they want to send people to do this, and we will work on all cold cases within the county. And so we're thinking that'll give us a leg up on some other departments that are wanting to do this grant. So the district attorney is on board with us. He is the one that I think originally brought it to our attention and asked would we be willing to do it. And Chief worked very hard with the other agencies to get them all on board. So we just bring it up to y'all now.
So this is a
It's,
new
18
grant we haven't participated in the past.
Correct. We've never
Has
participated.
it got a time limit as far as how long it lasts? I mean,
It's
is
18
it going to
months.
perpetual grant you reapply for every
It's
year?
18 months on this
18
one, and
months.
there's no assurance it'll be past that point.
Now, how many,
one person,
it's going to be one new person.
one new person and overtime is
I know
what
in
this
the
is
past, some
covered.
of these SRO grants, you bring on a block of employees and they taper off and you've got to keep paying those employees, which we may well need this position, but it will be a cost. Yeah, I was looking at that right there.
There is no requirement that you continue the particular employee. You may want to, of course, but you don't, the grant doesn't require you to do that. They did come to the office Monday. They didn't know that they needed this approval. We discussed it with them. We gave them our tentative approval subject to yours, and we called the chairperson of public safety. We made him aware of this on that very same day. And so he does know about it.
Y'all might call the other 7 or other 6. and
We
take
probably
care of
should.
that, since we're the one that's spending the money.
The total cost is, for the project's $229,100 and some dollars.
Yeah, that's the grant, yeah.
The grant,
They give you
okay.
the money, we don't have to match anything to the county, and we just have to report what we do with it, and that's pretty much, in 18 months, it's over.
Yeah, in 18 months, we get to see how good it works.
How good it works.
Is all-
How many cold cases we solve?
Oh, okay.
Okay, it works, and they
Yeah,
want
There's one out on
to-
Bradyville Pike. they like
So
to-
would you be hiring a
There's
person, or
several.
would you be
Several.
using?
Yeah, well, I'm assuming they're gonna hire at least one person for that.
There is one new
Yeah, one
investigator
position in
in this
there.
request.
Yes, sir.
Do you anticipate that being one of your present
We'll probably move
personnel?
one of our present over to that, and then we'll probably move another patrol in here with that. Eventually
You'll
open
net
patrols.
one more person off the street working for the county.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I'll move to approve the application for the grant.
So,
Commissioner Shaver, seconded by Commissioner Jernigan. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan, Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Elam.
Yes. Gentlemen, do you have anything else?
That's it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you next month.
See you.
Staying in section 3 of your notebooks, gentlemen, we have an ambulance service fund budget amendment.
I'll do it. This is a correction. One of the accountant bookkeepers, we did not budget the step that should have been there, and so there are funds available in the paraprofessional line. So we're moving 1,102 from the paraprofessional to the accounting bookkeepers.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Jordan, second by Commissioner Sandlin. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Yes.
Commissioner Elam.
Yes. Gentlemen, we do not have anything in our notebooks at this point, but it will be presented to us from Mr. Ransom Jones from the Election Commission, a request for approval of position upgrade for the Election Commission Executive Assistant.
That's correct. Currently, Rhonda McFerrin is has that title. We'd like to, our request is to upgrade that to election coordinator. She makes less than one of the women that she supervises. That we think that the money should, that she should be raised to at least what the amount of the salary of one of the women that she supervises. The money would come from a position that's currently unfilled, about $3,000. Rhonda now is actually the acting administrator, and she's held that off and on for the last 6 months.
Mrs. Stevenson has reviewed her job duties and all the job duties, and she is in agreement with the appropriateness of doing this. She's recommended this.
So this is a permanent change, not
Yes,
just while
it's
she's
permanent.
acting
Yes,
administrator. This
it's
is
permanent. It has
permanent.
nothing to her being acting. It's what
Nothing.
her normal duties would it be. She needs to be in this position at this level.
Wouldn't it be more appropriate to put this in line at the budgetary process instead of right in the middle of the year? I mean, we're just a few months out from the budgetary process altogether. We've held off other departments the same way.
Well, I don't know, from time to time we do check.
It won't cost any money, it's just moving money from an unfilled position.
Well,
I understand.
why couldn't it go as a bonus then, if you think it would? Because for it to cover the end of to the end of the fiscal year, and then put it in your budget for next year as a permanent thing.
I'm satisfied moving it up, voted on it like it was ended myself.
Well, I don't really have a problem with it. I'm just saying, in the mid-year of doing these, we're getting ready to start listening to budget and hearing budgets and budget requests, and
Ain't about it, she should have done been paid.
We just adjusted one a minute ago. There was a typographical error.
Yeah.
And it's 8 months into the budget year.
This should have been
I can't tell you the history of this, but the woman who does the IT over there is paid more than Rhonda is, and it's really not an equity that should be that way. And there's an unfilled position, and we would reduce the pay in that job and use that money to bring her up to at least the level of the IT employee.
I mean, I understand the request. I see the need to do that. I'm just wondering if that would be the time. So.
I mean, to me, I think it's okay to do because it's not going to make a change in the budget, and it would just roll into next year anyway.
So in next year, it would be a 3,000 total, or just be
It'll
within be in her
It'll be in
salary
budget
cap there. So moved, then, Madam Chairman.
I'll second it.
Commissioner Sandlin, seconded by
I just want to make
Commissioner
sure we're fair and equitable across the board, is all I was trying to do.
And they've held off on filling that position for a while, and maybe even a while
One of
longer.
the things we agreed to unanimously over there, one of the very few things.
I'm trying to think, was it
There's no controversy about it.
Was it a request in last year's budget for that?
No, this was just identified within the last couple of months, and we didn't, with the turnover, we didn't get it addressed back in January, okay? So it's just now come back to the table since we have new people in place.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Yeah, wasn't it about 3 years ago, roughly, maybe give or take 6 months, that we looked at all the job descriptions in the general fund and to adjust them to
Oh,
whether.
506.
506.
Fine.
So as you get older, so, you know, you can say.
Time flies.
You know, 6 or a year more or something like that. Okay.
It only seems like yesterday.
Yeah, it does. Hey, you start getting up to my age, it does.
I can understand where Commissioner Sandler's coming from, and I totally agree. You open that door here in the middle of the budget, and then there'll be somebody else, although I will support this, because I think this is a big enough inequity, we need to adjust it as soon as we have the opportunity. But we've got to be careful, because there's probably somebody in other departments who say, hey, I was supposed to have gotten this, or should have gotten that.
Well, we try to identify them. We brought
I know,
some
like
to
I said,
you.
we just fixed one a minute ago, but
Well, like you said too, this has already been brought to us and we put it off, what, in January?
Yeah, we didn't get it through the system.
Because I recall it coming in.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank
Good
you.
to see a lot of familiar faces here, I might add.
Thank you. Gentlemen, turn to section 9 in your notebooks. Mrs. Garrett. Mrs. Garrett from the Health Department is asking to approve a lease agreement for postage machines.
So we don't have a policy to buy postage machines, I don't.
Just a copy machine.
Mrs. Garrett.
Yes, thank you. This is
Probably
for
don't wanna
postage machine lease that we have for both our Smyrna facility and our Murfreesboro facility. Not asking for any increase in funds, just to continue the lease as it is.
And this is one, from what you said, we pay this out of the county portion, and the state, though, pays for the
state pays
postage.
for the stamps or the postage of it.
Same
which
as
is
last time's? Is it the same or is it going
Yes,
up?
I think
any?
the Smyrna one is going just a slight bit up, $12 a quarter more, because they're getting just a little bit bigger machine because they've gotten the renovation and they're seeing more patients. We're up quite a bit, patient load up there, but we are not needing more money to cover that.
Second.
Commissioner Jernigan, I'm sorry, I didn't catch the second. Commissioner P, thank you.
How much does it cost to rent the purchase of postage machine?
It's
I
way
can
on.
find out. I know
think
that
it's a
the
lot?
state pays.
Didn't you say your office owns there?
I'm afraid to say too.
It's pretty
We
expensive.
bought two at the same time, one for the
We're buying them in
courthouse
some
and
departments.
the county clerk building.
I hate to rent anything. $195 a month here, I see for one of them. It's not huge money, but
No,
every
no,
penny
no.
counts, you know what I
Do
mean?
you-
So-
I guess we could, by next Thursday, tell you how much we paid for the
Ours is a
two.
lot bigger, I'm
I'm
sure.
thinking it's several thousand.
I would see how much
Machine that I can't
the
You could
ones she
buy this one
has,
for, you
yeah,
know,
the
but-
ones she's wanting here. I'd see how much those are.
Can you contact them to see how much it would cost
If it
them?
looks like
I know
a
that,
dynamic
I don't know if it'll
savings,
mess up the thing with the state paying the postage. I don't know if that'll, the state pays
I wouldn't think so, because it seems like they just.
$1,250 a month for the postage.
They call it, don't they just call it down?
What is that?
I think
It
the
doesn't
way
matter
we
whose
do it, we
machine
pay
it
it in,
runs
they
through,
call
probably.
it in.
As long as it don't interfere with
Are
the-
most of your mailing, do they go out bulk mail or pre-sort or something like that? Or are they individuals that you just?
A little bit of both. We do mostly like, for our patients, we send them reminder letters.
So this
If they
is
had
just putting the
abnormal-
postage actually on there, the 44 cents or whatever it is.
No, the
because it's
state
a-
pays for that. We're just asking you guys to buy the machine,
the
lease
machine
the
that does it.
machine. The state pays the postage, which is quite expensive. It's
Okay.
$1,250 a month around on both machines.
So basically, the one here in Murfreesboro, you're paying $2,400 a year for the leasing of it,
Yes,
because
that's
roughly.
correct. That's correct.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Thank you.
Mr. Clardy, Mr. Sanders. Gentlemen, if you'll turn back to Section 6, we have one item that we will deal with, and then we'll come back to Section 9. A recommendation for funding for the design of Phase 1 and Phase 2 of Eagleville High School.
This committee asked the board to recommend a funding source for the design of both phases of the Eagleville school additions. And we will have that money with the savings from the Oakland and Whitworth Buchanan Middle Schools projects. And as I mentioned when we were talking earlier in the meeting, I would be bringing an amendment to the board in April, so you'll see it in May. And yeah, the request was that we proceed with the design so that we can have firm costs for these additions when the bids for Stewart's Creek High are open and when y'all are finalizing the 2012 budgets. We're asking that this $350,000 in design fees be funded internally within the building program, and we will bring forward a cleanup amendment in April to this committee. Our recommended motion is to approve these $350,000 in internal funding from the Oakland and Whitworth Buchanan Middle School projects to fund the design fees for both Eagleville additions until a project cleanup amendment is brought forward.
I had a question for Mr. Clardy. I had a constituent call me today and said, are we designing stuff without knowing for sure we're going to do it? How long are these designs good for? I told him I felt quite confident design was good for a couple of 3 years, you know, if worse came to worse. He said, well, if codes change, I mean, that would not be a significant change to the plans if we didn't fund this immediately and we fund it next year. Design's still good. I mean, there's no chance we're throwing any money away here.
It is, and we're actually, excuse me, just charged for the amount of the design, although there will be money left after the plan is done for the administration of the contract documents through the architect and the consultant. So we actually just pay up front for the design of the plan.
Move to
Good
approve.
question.
Second.
Yeah.
Commissioner Jernigan, seconded by Commissioner Jordan. Any further discussion? Commissioner Sandlin?
We talked about on the floor on the commission the other night, you know, you were actually wanting to do Phase 1 or whatever first, and then later on do Phase 2, and we got into a big talk, you know, let's just do them both at the same time as far as design and everything, and that's fine on design. I mean, within y'all's realms and y'all's thought process, and we have to look to the school board as far as what your plan is and what you're planning on doing, and we try to meet the funding aspects of it. So, you know, what does this do to you? I wanted to talk more about that and doing Phase 1 and 2 at the same time. Or are you still going to do Phase 1 first and then roll in Phase 2 at another time? I know on design you're going to do both, but what does that do to you as far as building out and your time frame is what you wanted to do?
We have discussed that we'd just soon do 1 and 2 together. It doesn't matter. But depending on the availability of funds, we definitely want to do 1 first. So if it came down to it, we would just do 1 with availability of funds. If the funds are okay, then we would do 1 and 2.
And if I understand correctly, 1 is the cafeteria and the gymnasium.
Cafeteria, auditorium. Band room, science labs.
Okay. So that's getting rid of the portables then?
It would. We're currently at 14 portable classrooms.
Okay, and then Phase 2?
Phase 2 is another 10 classrooms with a basement under it, unfinished basement that would serve as an athletic locker room later on to be built out by.
But Phase 1 gets rid of the portables and does these additions that you're talking about.
Yes,
I see why you split it up in the time frame there too.
The mindset between designing it all at once allowed the county the flexibility to bid it either or. Because you might get significant savings on number 2 to do it while your guy's already there working, to having to remobilize everybody and come back and start from scratch. If they're on site doing this, you do the other work for some percentage cheaper. So, and I would think at the time what was discussed in Health and Ed, we'll bid it with that the option of going full completely with one, and so this gives us more options. And
With
it's gotta be
hopefully-
designed anyway.
Hopefully get a deduct by building them both at the same time.
We'll get, from each bidder, after the design's done, when it goes out for bid, each bidder will give us 3 monetary amounts. One with both combined, one with just phase 1, and one with just phase 2. Right? Okay, that's what I was anticipating.
It'll let you have a clear picture how much you could save. by-
Yeah. If you get to save it, it's worth it.
And then we'll get to make the decision how far we go once we have those numbers in front of us.
And the way it will actually be bid would be phase 1, phase 2, and a deduct if
To
both
do
of them go together.
Okay. The bottom line will come out the same. That's the important part.
Any further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Bond,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, gentlemen. Hey, gentlemen, if you'll turn back to section 9 in your notebooks.
The way it was going, you didn't know.
We're ready for number 10 on our agenda, to approve Amendment 1 to agreement with the State Department of Mental Health for the payment of mental health evaluation and treatment services for criminal defendants charged with misdemeanors only.
This amendment extends the contract. It was going to end June 30th, 2011. It extends it for 1 year to June 30th, 2012.
So moved.
Commissioner Sandlin.
Second.
Second
We
by
don't have any choice on
Commissioner.
this, do we?
No.
This is mandated by the state, and we have to pay for it, right?
Yes.
This is the thing the state used to pay for, now we
And now we
pay
pay
for
for
it?
it.
Unfunded mandate?
But I will say, this is one of those at the beginning of the year that we
knew about this.
Well, we didn't know how much. We got the bills in, and we did an amendment for $97,000, with half of it being the prior year. But we just haven't had them come in. I think 2 of them came in today that were less than $5,000. Is that about what it was?
600 apiece.
600 apiece? Okay, yeah, that is a lot less than 5,000, so it's...
Did we get any other bids besides what the state?
This is a
state
contract with the state, with their agency.
Yeah.
At a fixed hourly rate. I forgot the rate, but it's with them.
$450.
And they've given us, quote, a discounted rate.
So there. And of course, they are lower and more efficient than a private, right?
I don't know.
Okay, gentlemen, we do have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Bond,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
No.
Commissioner Ely.
He said no. It's one of those unfunded mandates that irritate him.
This is the biggest.
Yes. We understand, Commissioner Schaefer. Next item, to approve an amendment to a grant contract with the State Department of Human Services for child support.
This, again, is another amendment that extends the grant agreement into next year, and this grant pays a portion of the magistrate's salary. It's the amount of time that he spends solely on the 4D child support services, and that portion of his salary, the state will pay us 66%.
That's the same percentage as the grant so far? Is that
It's
number-
the same. I mean, it's the same
but just a
percentage.
continuation, is that the same?
It continues, yeah.
Motion approved.
Second.
Commissioner Jordan, seconded by Commissioner Sandlin.
I'll ask another one. How much does this cost us a year as it is? I mean, the total cost
No.
for the, not, how much is spent on what this is covering?
Well,
saying?
we're paying
Well-
about a third of the cost.
We're paying a third of his salary that he spends on the bench doing the child support.
But if the state
Stuff.
didn't pay this part, we'd
Then
have to pay it
you
all.
would be funding it all.
This service has to be provided.
Yeah. Yes.
But it says that their state's maximum is 130,000.
That's more than 1 year,
That's, it's 51,000 a year or thereabouts.
Okay.
of which that they're contributing 34,000.
33 and a third or something.
The other thing to look at it, this is about 47%, the total project on salaries is about 47% of his time, or salary, is spent doing this, and this part
Is
of,
that part of what, does the part-time do this also? part-time
I mean, if they
part-
did, we could count their time.
Any further discussion relative to the motion? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Stanley,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. Item 12, to approve a contribution agreement with the USDA Natural Resources Conservation Service.
This is the part-time position in the Soil Conservation Board that is funded $10,000 from the county, $10,000 from the state, and $10,000 from the feds. And this is the federal agreement.
It's the same as it's been in the past.
It's the same as it's been. It's just, this is a really odd date that this covers, and it's March 1, 2011 to February 28, 2012. I think that's when it finally was approved. So it's just kind of on an off cycle.
That's when you start
of
doing
the other
soil
ones.
tests, see.
Oh, is it? Okay. I didn't know that.
So moved,
Sounds
now,
good.
John. Sounded good anyway.
I'm impressed.
Don't back up.
I'm impressed.
Don't back
Commissioner
up.
Simmons.
That's right.
Is this
Probably
one that
not
we
right,
gave
but it sounds good.
$10,000 extra dollars to a couple of years ago
Yes,
to pay
to
for
do this,
salary?
and, yes, it is. This will, I think, go into, next year will be the third year that we're agreeing to do. Yes.
Person's needed. It just doesn't go just to farmers, it goes to, it's what the Soil Conservation Service used to be called. And the agents need to be out in the field, and this is somebody to be able to keep the office open, very much needed.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Stanley,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. Gentlemen, our next item is a request for endorsement of forming an audit committee. And you will remember that our finance director presented that idea to us, was that last month?
It was last
Or
month.
2 months ago.
Last
Last month. And she recommended that we endorse this. As you recall, the Comptroller's Office has recommended this as a benefit to counties, and she is in agreement with that, and she is requesting that as a committee, we endorse this and send it to steering. And send it to steering.
Yes.
I thought you presented it at steering.
She did.
Yeah, I thought it was coming back up at steering, but it didn't come back up at steering.
It's coming back up with this recommendation,
okay.
hopefully.
I'll second
We
it.
we have a motion and a second.
Gotcha.
Do we
And,
have an estimated cost on this?
2 meetings, times however many members that you decide. I mean,
What if
to
you
me, a
can't find
minimum
a-
of 2 meetings.
What if you can't find a CPA to serve on it? And then you have to hire
I
a
think we can
CPA?
find one. I bet we can find one.
And I guess some of these details will be discussed when it goes back to steering.
And steering, yeah, they're gonna, with Ms. Dolan's help, they will craft a resolution that would sort of
Somebody makes $150 an hour, and go on.
put the structure in place.
There are CPAs out there that want to do their civic duty.
Most of mine know.
Just not during,
Yeah.
I
just
tell
not during
you,
tax
I
season.
am
I've
surprised
got
that
some.
some of the
I
members
will
of this
find
committee are
some.
being a little cynic
I bet there
tonight.
will be beating your door down.
Well, let's
asking
get
to
some
be on
lawyers
this.
to volunteer their time for legal services then, you know, but.
Gentlemen,
I'd be skeptical.
we do have a motion and a second to endorse the idea and send it to steering. Any further discussion?
Joe Brandis.
Let's do a roll call. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan,
I'm not reading it.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Stanley,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. Okay, gentlemen, let's look at our 2011-2012 budget schedule. And if you will take a quick look, Ms. Short asked us to bring our calendar, so hopefully you can take a quick look and see if this is going to be okay. I'm hoping it's going to be okay, so let's just take a look and see if there's any real major conflicts. Notice we have a regular budget meeting and the budget overview on May 5. And then notice we do have some pretty strenuous work to do with the general fund. We begin on May the 10th. Then that following week, we have 3 meetings, 16th, 17th, and 18th, as you see, with the general fund and then going to the highway fund, solid waste fund. May 24th, we have a joint meeting with the school board. May 31st, general purpose schools and all of those funds. We need to have our budget ready for publication by June the 2nd. We have a regular meeting on June 9th, and we'll discuss any budgets as necessary. Public hearing on June 14th. Notice all of our meetings are at 5:30 until we get to the public hearing, which is a 7 p.m. Meeting. We do have a meeting scheduled to discuss the public hearing and review any budgets as necessary, and this also gives the Board of Education a chance to make any adjustments in their line items on June 20th. And then to appropriate, to do the tax levy and the appropriation resolution on the 22nd, with our full county commission meeting on the 27th.
Now, the one on June the 2nd, if I recall last year, we were able to delete one of those by adding that on to the end of a meeting. Was it that one, or was it the one that on the 22nd?
I think there are fewer days on this calendar. I think
It's
we've
already out.
consolidated.
We've trimmed it from
Okay.
last year, yes.
Well, I was hoping we could trim one more
And we-
if possible, but
Yeah, there have been times when, well,
After the
yeah,
public hearing.
After the public hearing.
That 20th. Mhm.
If by
We-
some.
You know, we used to have it like the next day.
Yeah.
So this is not the next day. This is.
That last meeting we had maybe brought up before, can we not have that instead of on the Monday, the 27th, maybe the Friday, the 24th? Or is there something in
It
between
just-
that?
It starts pushing everything up the calendar.
We would definitely have to move that 20th meeting because there has to be you have to do that so many days before it's adopted.
I see.
That's the full commission meeting. That's probably already on the calendar with all the
Which?
21 commissioners have, is it not?
On the 27th.
No, that's on a, see, that's on a Monday.
Yes, it is.
I know, but have we not publicized that already? Was that set like months ago where
December.
people
In
blocked out that date?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, we already did that one. They
December.
approved that day.
We presented that when we did the budget calendar in December.
And so I'm thinking about the other 14 commissioners aren't on budget. Hopefully, they've already blocked that date out.
It's open for discussions, that's what.
I'll show up whenever.
No.
Okay, gentlemen, how does the calendar look? Ready to go to work?
Do we need to approve it?
Yes, we do.
I'll make a motion to approve it then.
Thank you, Commissioner Schaefer.
I'll
And
second it
seconded
with the
by
hopes
Commissioner
that we can
Peake.
even trim it more if possible.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Mayor Burgess, do you have anything else?
No.
Mrs. Nolan?
No, ma'am.
Anything else that needs to come before our committee? Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much. We are adjourned.